Your Honour, my client only learned today his wife is wed to another man. The words didn't just ring, they detonated. Gasps swept the audience. A pen-stilled court reporter's hand dropped the pen. A cameraman froze in mid-zoom. Even the judge, renowned for keeping her cool in the dirtiest family court scandals, raised an eyebrow. The air chilled. Cody Brown sat still, his gaze fixed on the woman who had been the focus of his life, Robin Brown. The very same woman he'd legally wed in 2014, discarding Meri along the way. The woman he'd stood up for, even if it meant torching relationships with his other wives, who now remained stiff in the front row. Robin stood at the floor, white and stiff. It had started as a dispute over custody for the daughter of Christine and Cody Brown, truly Brown. But when Christine's attorney stood silently, placed the judge on the bench with an envelope sealed with a wax seal, and asked to introduce new evidence, the game was afoot. His voice was subdued, but his words cut like a scalpel. My client believes this information calls into question Mr. and Mrs. Brown's moral and legal integrity. Eyes snapped to Christine, straight-backed, unreadable face. But there was something in her eyes, something pointed, something menacing. The judge slid the envelope open. Her face grew harder with each page she read. Then silence. At last, she looked at Robin. Mrs. Brown, do you affirm or deny the validity of this document? Robin remained quiet. Her lawyer leaned forward, whispered, and she nodded slowly, hesitantly. Cody leaped to his feet. What paper? What's it? The judge's reply was cold. Mr. Brown, this is a certified marriage certificate from Clark County, Nevada. Per this, your wife, Robin Brown, married a man by the name of Jason Hale 6 months ago. The courtroom exploded. Reporters raced toward the entrance. Whispers fluttered through the crowd. A spectator put her hand to her mouth. Cody leaned on the railing, a man in over his head. Robin, please, tell me it's not true. Silence screamed louder than any denial. The judge tapped down his gavel. 15-minute recess. Counsel, chambers. Christine leaned back in her chair, her lips forming the tiniest, most smug smile. This was not joy, it was vindication. The woman who had destroyed their family had at last been revealed. Outside was pandemonium. Hashtags ran amok. Robin exposed, Cody heartbreak, sister wives scandal. Inside, Cody looked at Robin like a stranger. He had given her legal refuge, financial stability, unflinching commitment, even when it cost him the remainder of his family. And now, she married another, in secret. For the first time ever, Cody Brown, one time the indomitable patriarch, looked broken. He looked at Robin. In their deep look were their whole history, the love, the fighting, the kids, the triumph, the lies. All shattered, their older kids sat rigid, taking in the truth. This was not just Cody's deception to be endured, it was their families. Cody looked at his lawyer. Get the divorce papers prepared. I need them today. The courthouse was a circus the following morning. Every available seat was filled. TMZ had plastered a fuzzy image of the marriage certificate on Reddit. Rumors circulated in loops. Secret children, dual lives, cover-ups. Even Rolling Stone sent a reporter. And right in the middle of it was a name that no one saw coming. Jason Hale. Jason was no surprise. He'd been around the Browns' orbit for years, working behind the scenes handling their messy finances, the TLC pay, the numerous properties, the tax chaos. He stayed behind the camera, doing most of his work with Robin on her boutique, My Sister Wife's Closet. But Christine's attorneys found an uglier thread. More than 500 private messages between them and Robin in just 2 years, many of which were sent after midnight. Business trips that always included the two of them. And then, 6 months ago, Robin marrying him under her maiden name with a P.O. box, reporting that she was out of state for work. It was planned, in plain sight. The judge called Robin to stand before him. Her lawyer objected, emotional distress, but the judge's verdict was final. Robin's face was pale. She refused to look at Cody. The room breathed a sigh of relief. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she began, voice trembling. "Cody, you no longer saw me. You no longer heard me." She swallowed. "I knew I was doing something wrong. I knew I broke the law and our vows. But in my mind, we were no longer married. Not really." She looked over at Jason. "He saw me. He was there with me." Cody's knuckles were white as he clenched his fists. The room was silent. Robin's voice trembled as she faced Cody, her words quivering but specific. "You pushed me aside, Cody. You vented your anger on Janelle, the cameras, the children, and me. You'd be gone for days. And even when you were home, you weren't home. You were in your own storm, angry, sulking, remote." Each ear leaned forward to catch her next words. "Jason never took your place. I didn't stage this, but I didn't stop it either." The room was silent. Even the court stenographer's fingers hovered above keys. The judge leaned forward. "Mrs. Brown, are you affirming that you entered into a legally binding marriage while still married to Mr. Brown?" Robin's slow nod was the trigger. A collective gasp swept through the gallery. Cody's attorney was on his feet in a flash. "Your Honor, it is bigamy here in Arizona. We're going to charge criminal charges." Robin's attorney responded with allegations of emotional abandonment and manipulation on the part of Cody. The two attorneys stood locked in a stare, but the raised hand of the judge halted them. "That will be determined here," she said firmly. Christine, arms crossed, said nothing, but her mind was racing. She had heard the late-night phone calls, the mysterious business trips, the expensive designer clothes. The trend had been going on for months, and now it was out in the open for everyone to see. Cody sat there, hollow-eyed, staring at the floor. The former dominant presence, the man who had ruled his home, his program, and his story, now resembled an ignored husband, a spurned father, a deposed chief. All the sacrifices, divorcing Meri, living through years of drama, relocating the family to Arizona, had been futile. Jason did not appear in court, but his lawyer submitted a written admission. Yes, the marriage did take place. Jason claimed he thought Robin was legally separated. Whether or not accurate, the damage was done. Christine's lawyers struck next. Bank statements, secret hotel reservations, even a Las Vegas condominium under Jason's name with Robin as co-resident. The paper trail was a smoking gun. At the day's end, Cody's team requested divorce and money. Robin faced charges of marital fraud, misappropriation of assets, and deception. A future hearing would address bigamy. As she exited the stand, Robin mumbled something incoherent into Cody's ear. But it wasn't needed. The cat was out of the bag. Day 3. And the court was a battleground. The masses had taken sides. Tabloids ran wild. Talk shows broadcast courtroom hearing point by point. Sister Wives viewers were divided but united on this fact. The fairy tale had ended. Cody entered the room that morning unrecognizable, no hairstyled, no defiant posture, just a man who had grown 10 years older in 3 days. Betrayal clung to him like second skin. The judge began reading through new evidence, text messages, wire transfers, a second Vegas property in Robin's name. The first part of the hearing had passed before Cody ever got a chance to be heard. Robin never even looked at him. Then the judge spoke out bluntly. "Mr. Brown, do you have any comments before we proceed?" Cody got up. His hands shook, but his voice was steel. "Yes, Your Honor. I want a divorce. Not next week, not next month. Today." The courtroom froze. Even his lawyer seemed shocked. Their pre-planned plan had been to delay, haggle, hide assets. Cody just threw that out the window. "I left behind my wives, my family, my pride for her," he stated, his voice rising. "I defended her when no one else would. I accepted her children. I begged my other wives to treat her kindly. I turned away from my own children when they wouldn't, and all along, she was creating a life with another man. The seriousness of his words sucked the air out of the room. Robin's hands trembled in her lap. Cody extracted the paper from his folder, presented it to the clerk, signed, notaried, a plea for immediate divorce. The judge perused it, then nodded curtly. Entered into record, temporary separation granted, effective now. The punch continued. Cody was also given sole ownership of the Flagstaff property. Robin had 48 hours to vacate and move into an ancient guest house. All shared business enterprises and accounts that carried the name Jason Hale were suspended for investigation. For the first time in over a decade, Robin was not pulling strings. And Cody was not pleading. He was pushing. There were reporters everywhere outside. Cody ignored their shouting, leaping into his SUV. His lawyer delivered a quick statement. Mr. Brown has initiated divorce proceedings. His first concern at present is to reclaim his house, his dignity, and his peace of mind. He asks that he be left alone while this very personal matter is being worked out. Robin arrived minutes afterward, her lawyer beside her, dark sunglasses over her eyes. For years, she had been the aloof hub of Cody's existence. Now she was departing on her own terms, unseen, unheard, and fully dismantled in the court of public opinion. On ours, his theatrical courtroom declaration was anywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. One of the trending most popular comments said, "He finally woke up." Another blunt one, "Too little, too late. This is the real Sister Wives finale." Meanwhile, in Utah, hundreds of miles away, Christine and Janelle sat together on a somber video call. They weren't gloating nor partying. They were simply processing. The man they lost to Robin was now experiencing the very same, in the shadows of a closed-down courtroom. Cody's attorneys made one final effort. "Are you sure you do not wish to mediate?" one questioned softly. Cody didn't blink. "She buried me emotionally for years. I lost everything for her. I'm done talking. I'm done waiting. She made her choice. Now I'm making mine." The lawyers sprang into action, collecting property deeds, business contracts, custody orders, financial records. It was a maze that would take years to disentangle, but Cody was not intimidated. This was not about broken hearts anymore. This was about reclaiming power. Robin's lawyer, meanwhile, counseled her into complete silence. No interviews, no Facebook, no speaking with Jason Hale. But in secret, Robin swore, "I never thought Cody would actually leave. I did not think he'd yell, cry, and still leave." She had misjudged the intensity of a man pushed past the breaking point. By the third court hearing, the judge issued sweeping directives, a thorough financial audit of all Jason-connected assets, and an investigator to search through every communication between Robin and Jason to determine if fraud or improper purposes had been served. Criminal charges were not ruled out, but the true meltdown was happening at home. The kids, who grew up in the shadow of the family's TV image, were now finally expressing themselves. Leaked testimony from an out-of-court hearing on custody showed Aurora and Brianna, Robin's older daughters from her first marriage, caught between two worlds. Aurora supposedly burst into tears. "Mum said don't tell anyone. She said Dad knew or she'd tell him soon." Brianna restated in her own words her confusion. "We didn't think it was so bad. We didn't think she'd really leave Dad, or that he'd ever know it like this." The judge appointed a mediator, noting, "These are not children. These are young women in a storm they did not create, trying to be loyal to both sides, but loyalty has limits." Christine and Janelle's children were not so demure. One of Christine's daughters posted, "He left us for a fantasy of loyalty. He got betrayal in return." Janelle's son's popular tweet was, "He left us all for Robin. Now she's the one who left him for another. Karma doesn't miss." The Brown kids, once muzzled to protect the show's image, were now grown with unfiltered voices. Their accounts were not snarky zingers, they were years of hurt finally boiling over. "I used to stand by the window waiting for him," one son admitted. "He never came over. Robin always wanted him. Now she doesn't." The mediator's report was brutal, emotional neglect. Several children had been months and even years out of contact with Cody. Favoritism. Robin's kids were treated with clear preference, leaving long-standing bitterness. Manipulation. Robin manipulated her daughters to keep her marriage to Jason secret, emotionally manipulating them. Fractured identity. Most of the children no longer felt they were part of the same family and had no desire to reconnect. "This is more than a divorce," the mediator wrote. "This is an utter failure of connection, trust, and shared identity." Then came session 4 and Cody's revenge. His attorneys filed a motion accusing Robin of draining family money into her secret existence with Jason. The list of evidence was incendiary. Wire transfers out of joint accounts into an account in Robin's maiden name. A $35,000 merchandise expense attributed to a Las Vegas supplier, the same city in which Robin and Jason were seen together. 2 maxed-out family LLC credit cards spent at upscale hotels, spas, and restaurants, dates corresponding to Robin's business trips. A Vegas condo rental in Jason's name, with Robin as co-tenant and splitting utilities. If it were set up, this would not only be equal to divorce, it could be equal to loss of property, civil lawsuits, even criminal charges. Robin's lawyers dismissed all charges as all the decisions being legal and made during marital distress. Video of Cody Brown's dramatic courtroom testimony didn't merely make the news. It set the internet ablaze. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. The list went on and on. Some tweets cheered him on. He finally woke up. Others were blunt. Too little, too late. Robin had this coming. This is the real Sister Wives finale. But far away, in Utah, Christine and Janelle weren't dancing on the table. Accounts say that they went to a somber video conference, not to mock, not to tease, but to deliberate. The guy who'd psychologically abandoned them to Robin was now facing a similar acrid rejection inside an air-sealed courtroom. Within that strained room, Cody's attorneys made one final bid for mediation. "Do you not want to talk about it?" one lawyer queried. Cody's answer cut like steel. "She's emotionally buried me for years. I gave everything up for her. I'm finished talking. I'm finished waiting." And that was it. The gloves were off. The lawyers started going through years of marital property records, business contracts, titles to property, custody agreements, the kind of tangled mess that would take years to clear away. But for Cody, this was no longer a matter of heartbreak. It was about taking back control. Meanwhile, Robin's attorney gave her firm instructions. No interviews, no Twitter, no Jason Hale contacts. Go underground. But out of sight, Robin was unraveling. She is quoted as saying to a friend, "I never thought Cody would actually leave. I didn't think he'd cry, yell, and walk away anyway." She had misjudged how far betrayal would send a man who had already lost everything once before. By the third hearing, the atmosphere had changed from shock to strategy. The judge ordered a full financial audit of Cody and Robin, directly at any assets that were connected to Jason Hale. A court investigator was retained to burrow through all of Robin's transactions with Jason for fraud and deception. Criminal charges were not eliminated, but one thing already seemed certain. The Browns, who were the poster children of plural love in America, were forever split. And while everyone witnessed the courtroom soap opera, something else, more subdued, and maybe even more tragic, was transpiring behind the scenes. The kids were finally speaking up. For years they'd lived on television, their existence constructed for reality television, their pain hidden behind the gloss of the show. But as the family disintegrated in public, their silence broke, and what they said destroyed the final support of the Brown heritage. In leaked transcripts of custody hearings, Aurora and Brianna, Robin's daughters from her initial marriage, adopted by Cody, admitted they knew about their mother's clandestine marriage to Jason. Torn between loyalty and honesty, they admitted they'd been instructed to be quiet. "Mum instructed me not to tell him anything. She said Dad already knew, or that she was going to tell him soon." Aurora reportedly wept. Brianna echoed the surprise. They never thought Robin would ever break up with Cody. A family mediator was appointed, warning the court, "These are not kids anymore. These are young women caught in a storm they didn't cause, trying to be loyal to everyone, but even loyalty has an expiry date." Christine and Janelle's kids, though, were pulling no punches. On Instagram, one of Christine's daughters posted, "He abandoned us for an illusion of loyalty and received betrayal in return." One of Janelle's sons' went viral tweet stated, "He left us for Robin. Now she's the one who walked away. Karma doesn't miss." These weren't catty shots. They were years of suppressed rage finally bursting forth. The mediator's report was cruel. It recorded emotional abandonment, favoritism, secrecy, manipulation, and a family identity so torn asunder that most of the children no longer wished to be associated with Cody or Robin. "This isn't divorce," the report said. "It's the disintegration of connection, trust, and belonging." And if betrayal had been the leitmotif of the first 3 court appearances, Session 4 was all about vengeance. Cody's attorneys accused Robin of siphoning family assets to fund her double life with Jason. The evidence? Joint account wire transfers to her maiden name, savings accounts. A $35,000 business expense tracing back to a Las Vegas vendor, where Robin and Jason were spotted vacationing. 2 family LLC credit cards maxed out on luxury hotels and spas during their vacations. Even a shared lease on a Las Vegas condo. If it's true, Robin's troubles would reach far beyond divorce, to lawsuits or criminal prosecution. Then came the personal breakdown. Robin was ordered to leave the family house and move into a guest suite. Her daughters would not speak to her. Cody had locks changed on her. Her online store vanished from the internet. Her support group gone. Meanwhile, there were whispers Cody was in negotiations with TLC for a tell-all documentary. Christine posted a photo cradling her grandbaby with the status update, "Peace is finally here." Lastly, weeks of bombshells later, the final day of court had finally arrived. No more secrets to reveal, just the verdict. The judge declared Cody and Robin's marriage legally ended, waiving the waiting period due to Robin's confessions and the emotional turmoil of the case. Robin's marriage to Jason was valid in Nevada, but since she remained wedded to Cody in Arizona, the case was submitted to the Attorney General for possible bigamy charges. A forensic analysis of 5 years' worth of their finances was demanded. The Flagstaff estate would be put up for sale within 90 days. No cheers, no breakdowns, just silence. Cody and Robin shared a single look. Not love, not fury, only nothing. Outside, reporters swarmed. "Mr. Brown, comment on the verdict?" He remained silent. But one photograph told the whole story. Cody walking alone into the sunlight, jaw set, shoulders slumped. Headlines screamed, "The end of polygamy's first family and Robin's secret husband exposed." A week or so later, Cody gave a minimalist interview. No flash, no spin, only a man standing with his eyes fixed on the floor. "I gave up everything for love," he said. "I thought Robin was my forever. I thought she was faithful. I thought she was home, but she was building forever with someone else." Robin issued a short apology via her lawyer, then went off the radar. Christine shared a bright hiking photo of her daughter and granddaughter. "Closure is peace. Peace is power." Janelle tweeted, "Never trade your family for someone who wouldn't trade the same." From reality show royalty to cautionary story, the Brown story was over. The idealistic vision of plural marriage had fallen apart into deception, loss, and silence. Meri recovering in Utah, Janelle happy with her children, Christine remarried and beaming, Robin shamed and in hiding, and Cody alone. As Judge Davis put it, "These isn't a story of saints and villains. It's a story of love, betrayal, and the cost of devaluing the people who love you best." And so the sun set on the Browns, not just on their marriage, but on the myth they had built together.